the full moon in Gemini, as well as the 12-12-12-20. This is the most powerful gateway of energy, in my opinion, that we experience every year. And it truly is a time where we are experiencing this powerful splitting or bifurcation as far as the energies of the planet itself go, and the way that we're experiencing the different dimensions that we're existing within. And with 2024 being this quantum leap through consciousness, this particular 12-12-12-21 gateway, I feel, is going to be especially powerful, because we have been shifting into such a vastly different timeline from what we've been used to experiencing. This has been a major quantum leap, as we've been saying on here. And so there's a lot of recalibration going on. There's a lot happening as we are all adjusting to this timeline and adjusting to this most recent split. We're going to talk about all of that today. And I am going to, as well as we get into a bit of the live chat and stuff like that, I'll timestamp for people who are catching the replay when we get into talking about the full moon, and when we get into more of the meat of the 12-12-12-21 gateway, because I know sometimes there's a lot going on in between. So for people who are watching the replay and just want to jump right to that, I will link those timestamps below when we get to those points in the video for the replay. Hello, Carla. Welcome, beautiful. It's so great to see you. Hello, Annika. Love you so much. So happy that you are here. We're going to be playing around with the chat and seeing how things go today. We had a lot of bots in the chat in the last few live streams that we did. We may be switching to a membership-based chat moving forward here, with very affordable, sort of low starting options for that. So that something that's not like a huge financial burden for anyone, but allows for the chat, and then other options for people who want to support the channel. So that is coming. Right now, we've got Annika in there holding it down, and Madam Chakra, if she does come on as well. And yeah, we're going to see how it goes. I set some powerful intentions for the integrity of this live stream and this energy today. It is so powerful. Take a moment to kind of center into yourself as we get going here. Center into that heart. Remember, the heart is the portal to the fifth dimension. So every time we're going through these massive bifurcation points, these massive splitting points where the timeline is splitting more powerfully, I guess that's the easiest way to say it. If it's hard to imagine the earth literally splitting, you can imagine that as a timeline split, which is just a split in the reality and the trajectory or course that we're traveling. Every timeline is essentially another dimension or another reality, and we're shifting in and out of these minor timelines really on a daily basis as we're making different choices and navigating through our days. Sometimes we switch into a very different timeline, and then there's a calibration process that tends to happen. This is happening collectively right now because we had that huge timeline jump last month at the beginning of November. And everyone's, the way that we talked about it on the live call that we did on Patreon the other day, I think that's what it was, or it might have been the video that I tried to record for the full moon. Honestly, between Mercury retrograde and everything else that's been going on, I've been having a lot of difficulty getting these videos out and editing them. Like the tarot videos have been fine, but some of these astrology videos, it's been a bit of a struggle. So that's why I decided I was just going to hop on here and we're just going to talk about it all on the live stream today, as opposed to trying to pre-record anything, because it's honestly like been a nightmare right now. Mercury is going to be stationing direct during the full moon in Gemini, and that is on the 15th. So that's a few days after we enter this gateway of energy, the 12-12-12-21 gateway. And I apologize if I'm kind of jumping around here when I'm talking about all of this, but that's the energy, right? As we're recalibrating, as we're adjusting to this timeline. And now the way that I'm feeling the 12-12, because we just had that major timeline jump, it's really assisting us in this energy of just assisting us in that recalibration energy, assisting us in adjusting to that. But it is also really helping to streamline this process for us and anchor us more deeply into the timeline that we have chosen. As I said, collectively, we ascended into a really, really high, beautiful, high vibrational timeline. However, not everybody has chosen to align with that timeline. And so we all have free will on this planet. Everybody gets to choose their experience. And some people are still choosing that lower timeline and that lower experience. And those people are going to be having that experience of their choosing moving forward. Some people say there's only certain points in time where we're really able to, like, that eventually the split's going to get so big so that we aren't going to be able to navigate between the two. Like, just imagining it as two, there's an infinite number, right? But the two major timelines. I don't necessarily see it that way. I think there's always an opportunity to switch over. But as the energy the difference becomes much more pronounced and the vibration becomes much more pronounced, it's going to take a lot more to do that, because there's going to be a lot more work that needs to be done to switch from to make up for that difference in vibration, so to speak. So the sooner we do this along this journey, the better. And how do we align with that highest timeline? It's really, really simple. Right? This was something that we were talking about, I think, in the Patreon call right now, or that we just did last night, which for all of my beautiful members who were not on the live call, I will get that uploaded this afternoon. I'm glad I'm talking about it now, because I completely forgot until I'm talking about this now. But we were talking about this energy of course, now I lost my train of thought. What were we talking about? We're talking about switching timelines. We're talking about the simplicity. That's what it was. How the deepest spiritual insights that I've ever received have been the simplest ones. And it's simple, but it's not easy, right? This whole spiritual journey. And so aligning with our highest timeline, it's simple, but it may not always be easy. It's all we have to do is just show up as authentically as we can, be as honest as we can, be as willing as we can to grow and evolve, and pay attention to the opportunities that we're receiving to learn more about ourselves and to release what is desiring to be released. This full moon in Gemini is a huge release point of energy. And it's really assisting us, as is this whole 12-12-21 gateway. And when I say gateway, I mean from the 12th to the 21st, although it's not solid, rigid dates like that. That's the bulk of the energy, but it's really throughout this whole month of December, right? So it's like just setting that intention and surrendering. There we go. See, every time I go into a little interlude to try to explain something, I start losing my train of thought. So bear with me. Mercury's still in retrograde as we're doing this live stream. Not that is unusual for me anyway, but you know. So just being willing to surrender. This full moon is, and I'm not going to get into like a ton of the technical aspects of all of this. I'm feeling called lately to really work more with the energy as opposed to all the little technical points. But I will say, besides Mercury stationing direct, we have a couple T-squares going on, loose T-squares, depending on whether we call the nodes points and how loose or wide we make these. They can almost be looked at as grand crosses in a sense, or at least one of them with the nodes with the north node conjunct Neptune here and that south node. But try not to get too technical once again and get bogged down in that. Neptune is involved in one of these T-squares with the sun and the moon. And what's really interesting about this, and also loosely Jupiter, who is very, very loosely conjunct the moon during this full moon. What's interesting about that is that Mercury, who's stationing direct during this full moon, and who is also the ruler of this full moon, being the ruler of the sign of Gemini. What was I? Oh my God. Spirit's like, oh, the Neptune, sorry. We're going to get there, you guys. We're going to get there. Neptune was in a T-square with Mercury when Mercury began its retrograde. And now Neptune is in a T-square with the sun and the moon during this full moon. Neptune was retrograde during that T-square at the opening of Mercury retrograde on November 25th. Now Neptune is direct. Neptune stationed direct on the 7th. And I was feeling this really interesting energy when I was doing the video that turned into a hot mess for this full moon of Mercury will be stationed, meaning Mercury will not be moving. From our vantage point on Earth, Mercury will be essentially standing still in the sky, so its energy will be at full force. Neptune, who is a really slow mover, I was feeling as still really stationed as well during this moon, since it only stationed to begin moving direct on the 7th. So it's been 8 days, and I feel Neptune really pretty stationary as well. And what this means is that both Mercury and Neptune are really strong in their energy, and that energy is really focused. You can almost imagine it's like when you're moving, you're not paying attention as well. There's like a laser focus when you stop and you get still. And this is what Mercury and Neptune are both doing right now. Now, with this energy, with Mercury, with Jupiter, there's this energy that we've been working throughout the Mercury retrograde that's really been challenging our belief systems, that's been calling into question those deeply entrenched perspectives and biases that we hold, and asking us to expand our mind, to expand our perspective. Neptune being involved in both the Mercury retrograde and this full moon is also offering us an opportunity to dissolve some type of blockage, to dissolve one of these belief systems, perhaps, one of these perspectives, one of these ways of viewing ourselves, of viewing the world, of viewing our interactions with the world and the people in it. There's something that Neptune is giving us the opportunity to release, to surrender, to let go. And this is a really big release point because, like we said, we are recalibrating to that highest timeline, to that timeline that we chose collectively, and to our own individual timeline within the 3D timeline. And then there's like the 5D timeline, but there's infinite timelines within those two. So our within that timeline that we're calibrating into, and the moon is giving us the opportunity to do, along with Neptune here supporting this, who is still squaring the galactic center, by the way. So just bringing in that extra element that's allowing us to get more quantum with it, I guess you could say, to tap into these quantum realms more, to tap into this infinity of possibility and timelines. It's giving us an opportunity to release whatever it is that we've been holding on to, that has been keeping us stuck, that has prevented us from really springboarding along this new trajectory of energy that we have embarked upon. So whatever is tethering us to those old karmic cycles, to those old belief systems and traumas and viewpoints and stories, there's something very powerful for each and every single one of us that Neptune is offering, and this full moon is offering, to assist us in letting go. And that's really all we need to do to work with this energy, just release and let go. Neptune is going to be a really big player as we're continuing to move forward here, because we do have Neptune getting ready to change signs. And sometimes all of these dates, like I don't always have all the dates straight. So Neptune's been in Pisces for quite a while. We'll say that since 2000, early 2000s, I would say. Right? So if anybody knows the exact date, actually it's 2011. 2011 is when Neptune entered the sign of Pisces. I remember that actually because I had some powerful connections to 2011 and what was happening. And it's so interesting because there were 11 people watching this when I said 2011. So that 11-11 energy coming through there as well. 11-11, 12-12, these energies, they're very connected. And really, it's almost in a way like a big, massive gateway of energy from the time we enter through the 11-11 to moving into the 12-12 here. It just keeps intensifying. So since 2011, Neptune's been working with us in these Pisces energies. And next year, Neptune is going to move into Aries on March 31st of 2025. And Neptune's going to have one final retrograde moving back into Pisces. And that's going to be in 2025, later on in the year. I want to say like July-ish. Neptune, I actually think I have it written down here. Let me see if I have it written down. Yep, July 3rd. Neptune will go retrograde again, and Neptune will go back to 29 degrees of Pisces for a final time. And then on December 9th of 2025, right before the next 12-12 gateway. And so really within those energies, Neptune's going to return to Aries and remain in Aries. So we've been working through these themes. Neptune has been working with us to expand our consciousness, to expand our awareness. Neptune is that planet that represents the unseen realms. It is the gatekeeper that separates the the known planets from what lies beyond. And actually, we're starting to understand what lies beyond now. Of course, Pluto lies beyond, when sometimes Pluto's out beyond Neptune's orbit. And then we have all the trans-Neptunian objects, which are some of these dwarf planets that we talk about, such as Eris. There's all kinds of different dwarf planets that are now being recognized. And so there's a whole new world. We are actually becoming conscious of what lies beyond, right? As our consciousness expands, our awareness of the cosmos expands as well. But for a long time, that's what Neptune represented, sort of that gatekeeper of energy to that sort of the veil, if you will. Neptune is the veil that separates the seen and the known from the unknown. It's a very powerful energy. Neptune is that energy that represents all of those deep spiritual principles, the principle of oneness, the principle of surrender, this understanding of ourselves in a greater spiritual context, right? Our awareness of each other, our connection to each other, the fact that we are all different emanations of the one energy, and the way that we can feel compassion and empathy for one another when we remember that I am you and you are me. Right? And we're all on this journey. And so Neptune has been reminding me of the importance of that as we're moving through this gateway, because remember, like we said, different people are choosing different timelines. And so as this process is going on, it's about respecting everybody's choice, respecting everybody's journey, and understanding that as we are all emanations of source energy, source created so that it could experience every possibility of itself that there was to experience. That means even the person that's driving you crazy right now, source wanted and needed them to exist so source could have that experience of being them and seeing itself and whatever world that version of them is in through that person's eyes, through that aspect of itself's eyes. So everybody is important. Everybody matters. There's a big principle here, this principle of humility that Neptune also represents. And that's that understanding that nobody is any greater or any less than anybody else. We are all equally important. We are all equally beautiful in the eyes of source because we are all source. Right? Source has accomplished that which we in this human form have been trying to accomplish and is really one of the greatest feats of being human, right? And that is the ability to love every aspect of itself infinitely. So we can take a little cue from source on that to learn how to love every aspect of ourselves infinitely, which also means loving every aspect of ourselves, not just within, but all the apparent outer manifestations of us, which is all the other people on this journey. Right? We love them with compassion. That doesn't mean that we allow them to overstep our boundaries. This is one thing that Neptunian energy can sometimes forget, right? Like there are some boundaries that need to be created because of the type of experience that we're having in this reality right now, right? But it's that understanding. I'm not any better or any worse than anybody else. I don't matter any more or any less. And this is really important for us to keep in context and to keep in mind as we continue along this journey. I was feeling this powerful energy here of Neptune really beginning to break down, especially in these final degrees of Pisces, and then moving into these beginning degrees of Aries. This energy of like the spiritual ego, and these traps within ourselves. And this is one of the things that this full moon is assisting us in dissolving if we are willing. Those barriers that we've created within ourselves because of the dogma, because of the belief systems, the rigid beliefs that we're holding on to. So I saw this impacting the entire spiritual community as well, where it's like, once people get involved in this journey, there's these gurus and there's these people who are well known, many of whom are infringed upon, whether it's by outside entities or simply by their own ego. And this energy of people placing them on a pedestal, gaining those accolades, and then having this energy of starting to see themselves as above or starting to see themselves as having all the answers. One thing that Neptune always reminds us of is and Gemini too, which this is a full moon in Gemini, there are far more questions than there are answers. And every time you ask a question and you get an answer, it evokes another question, right? It's an endless journey. We never know it all. And so it's challenging some of those rigid kind of like rules or codes of conduct or belief systems within the spiritual community of like, we've done some work and we've explored some realms and now we know everything, right? Now we know everything about what this is, what we are, what this process is, what this reality is. And Neptune's coming in, especially with that square to the galactic center and being like, are you sure though? Are you sure? Right? And so we're getting that opportunity to dissolve whatever within us is keeping us from continuing to expand. Because when we become closed-minded, when we begin to believe that we know it all, we cease to be able to expand. And this is what Jupiter in this full moon, who was also very involved in Mercury's retrograde. For those of you who watched the video, you know Jupiter and Mercury were in some type of opposition throughout most of that retrograde. In that T-square with Saturn, which is still going on during the full moon, and with Saturn in Pisces, I moved out from the T-square with Neptune to the T-square with Saturn in Pisces. Now we have the sun and the moon in that T-square with Neptune. We've also got all the stuff is still active, all right? Just so many T-squares going on, so much intensity going on. Like I said, some of these can be expanded to actually feel like grand crosses, but it's all this energy of release. It's all serving us in the sense that it is calling into question that which we have clung onto as a belief about ourselves, about the world, and it's giving us the opportunity to dislodge that and to see beyond that. So simply allow for this process. Don't hold on too rigidly to anything right now, because anything that is, so the way that this is working, as we're aligning with this higher timeline, right, is that if we have things from our old timeline that we're not ready to release, whether this is a version of ourselves, a habit that we have that doesn't serve us anymore, a relationship, a job that doesn't serve us, and we're clinging on to that, the timeline's trying to raise us up, but we're actually going to be pulling ourselves back down into a lower one because we're so attached to the aspects of that lower timeline. So it's whatever is trying to leave, let it. This doesn't mean that we have to start grabbing the axe and chopping away at things, unless we feel so inclined to do so, right? Remember, Mercury retrograde, we may want to at least wait until Mercury is out of retrograde. All right, Mars isn't going to be out of retrograde until February 23rd. We talked about, I did just release the video on the Mars retrograde, which was another fabulous Mercury retrograde clusterfuck, honestly. But I hope that you all did enjoy it. So Mars isn't going to be out of retrograde until the 23rd. And the shadow period is going to go until the 1st of May. So, but we may not, like some of these things, if we've known for a while that they need to go, you know, like we can take the action to remove them ourselves. Some of this, it is with that Saturn and Pisces being active as well. Saturn does demand action. It demands responsibility. So we are being asked to take responsibility for our creations, to take responsibility for our energy, to take the steps that we know we need to take. But any drastic changes we might want to, you know, that aren't being naturally just unfolding, that we need to specifically make through our own will, we may want to wait until after the full moon. And the Mercury's shadow period ends at it's like the 2nd of January, I think. So right after the new year. Think of this as the time. This is really a time where we're probably going to be feeling more tired than usual. There is so much happening energetically right now. Because remember, we're not just being realigned with that highest timeline and like calibrating to that highest timeline in the sense of like our emotional selves and when it comes to people and places and things in our reality, it's our energy body and our physical body are being recalibrated as well. So there is a real need to go within right now. There's a real need to take care of ourselves, to take that time for ourselves, to go into our safe space, into that womb. I was going to say womb. Into that womb space. Right, that metaphorical womb space, so that we can be nurtured right now. Drinking lots of water. We talk about that all the time. Just supporting our bodies in any ways that we can, supporting our spiritual selves, our mental health, in all the ways that we can as we're moving through this. And try not to take anything too personally, because like we said, a lot of people were not ready for the huge uptick in the timeline that just happened. And so they're at a choice point right now as well. We all are. But people who had really been living in that lower density, this choice point is going to seem a lot more extreme because there's already a bigger jump. You know what I mean? And so like we want to be patient, we want to be compassionate with everybody, with ourselves, and really take that time to take care of ourselves, to like sink into our being, our beingness, to really work with that beautiful divine feminine energy. And that divine masculine energy is getting an overhaul during this Mars retrograde as well. So and it's getting an overhaul through its relation with the feminine, because we have a lot of powerful feminine archetypes and energies that Mars is coming into play with. We talked about that in the Mars retrograde video. He's coming up with Venus, coming up in that opposition with Venus in Aquarius. He's talking to Black Moon Lilith, the moon. There's a ton of grand crosses happening with these feminine planets and Mars. So our masculine energy is going through it too. And our masculine energy is going to need just as much love and care. And it's really going to need us to support it as it goes through this process, as it goes through this overhaul. So it's just be in your own space, be in your own energy, take care of yourself, and practice that art of radical surrender. Surrendering everything we cannot control. Some of us, there's going to be a big sort of struggle here as we're desiring to control some aspect of our lives. And Spirit's saying that the more we try to control that aspect of our lives, the less control we're going to have. And the more ridiculous it's going to get. So just like we can. But that's what Spirit's saying is going to happen. It's going to get more and more challenging. And the more we try to control things right now, the more it's going to spin out of control. So it's really just letting go of the wheel in some senses of the word. And hello, beautifuls. I want to say hello to everyone in the chat for a minute. I see Gyanji in here. I see Ploon. I see Carl. Welcome everybody. Amber. So happy to have you all here. Everybody else who's watching, who hasn't said hello yet. So yeah, that's what's going on. That's what's going on. 2025 is going to be absolutely insane. And I know we say this, hello, Sheila. I know we say this every year, because it does. It's like every year the energy steps up. I don't know. Honestly, I stopped paying attention to the solar flares because every time I watched a video or I read something about them, it just said that they were getting more and more intense, right? Like, it's just, the solar flares are off the charts. Everything is preparing us we're being energetically prepared for this next level of our experience on this planet. The energies are as they're getting more and more intense, we're also going to have more and more people, as we always do, who are choosing to leave, who are choosing to transition, because their experience on this planet has been complete. And they honestly just can't exist in the energy right now. We're also seeing the false matrix not really being able to exist in this energy either. And we're seeing it really beginning to crumble, which I'm really enjoying. I'm trying very hard to practice that detachment, right? Where I don't get pulled into the drama of the narrative. But this is something that I have deeply desired within my being for like almost 20 years now. So beginning to see the false matrix in the outer reality crumbling, these people in these positions of power, losing that power, I can't help but be very joyful about it sometimes. So I haven't necessarily reached that level of detachment yet. Am aware of the need not to get too emotionally invested. And that's going to be helpful for all of us moving forward, is to try to practice being the observer as much as possible. The observer of our own thoughts, of our own patterns, the observer of what's going on in the outer reality, what's going on the world stage, simply observing it and continuing to be responsible for our own energy. That is really our only and our most important mission at this time, is to be responsible for our own energy. Let's see. Yeah, Schumann resonance off the chain. Yeah. 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 And the people leaving, like, that can be really challenging. I feel like that's like the greatest understatement that I've ever made, right? And by leaving, well, there's two forms of this, right? One form of this is them transitioning to the next level of being, right? No longer being within the physical body. And the other type is just people falling out of our reality. And both of those things can be almost equally hard in different ways. The thing to really remember when it comes to people who are transitioning, and I almost said permanently transitioning, but it's not permanent. I feel like there's going to be a lot of them that are being prepared in the other realms that we may see in the 5D, in these other dimensions as well. There's a lot of different ways that this is going to work. I don't pretend to understand all of it, but it's not permanent, right? It's just temporary. And know that if this energy, if this planet was just too much, or if they had simply completed what they came here to do, that's beautiful. Because now they get to have a more relaxing experience. It's like almost like you can picture them at like a spiritual day spa at this point, you know, just cheering us on from where they are as we continue moving along this trajectory of energy. And the people in our personal lives who haven't transitioned but have transitioned out of our particular reality, just know that that may not be permanent either. People are choosing different things right now. They're choosing different timelines. They're needing to have different experiences. So it's simply about allowing that and knowing that, like, saying goodbye, like, it's never goodbye. It's always see you later, no matter what. And somebody who's choosing a lower timeline or is choosing more struggle and drama and trauma right now, they may choose something else 6 months from now, in a year from now. And that's why we continue to grow. We continue to heal. We continue to be responsible for our own energy. And eventually, if some of those people do choose to hop on the train, we're already here and we're feeling good because we've been doing our work. We've been doing our healing, and we're able to hold that space for them as they begin that process of releasing that density. And just know that some people's process of releasing the density is sinking back into it for a while. I've gone through periods of that as well. You know, so we really cannot judge where another person is at. And a lot of times we don't even really know, right? Like, we may think that they're completely falling back into the density, but maybe they're simply having that experience they need to have to catapult them forward. And so we just continue moving forward, continue growing, and allow everybody to catch up or not at any specific time, at the perfect divine time for them. All right. I feel like I want to pull some cards here. We're going to start with the Moonology deck because it's been a while since we've used that. Let's see. I have 2 different Moonology decks now. I'm feeling the original for right now, but let me know what you guys think. Do you want to do the original Moonology, or do you want to do the Moonology manifesting deck? While people are deciding, give me a 1 if you want to do the original. Give me a 2 if you want to do the manifesting. I'm also going to tell you guys about something really exciting that's going on the 30th or the 31st, depending on where people are located in the world. We're having a black moon this month. I didn't even know this when I put out the original new moon video. We're having a black moon. So a black moon is when we have 2 new moons in the same month. Sort of like a blue moon is when we have 2 full moons. A black moon is 2 new moons. So this is a relatively rare thing. And it's really powerful that it's happening right before we move into January 1st, 1/1, right? So I am really looking forward to doing that video for you guys as well. That's going to be a new moon in Capricorn. That energy is going to be off the chain. I feel that as a massive portal. It's like we move out of this. It's like as soon as the 1221 gateway finishes, really, and of course, a few days after the 1221, we have that second of the 3 opening squares, exact squares between Jupiter and Saturn. And then a few days later, we have that black moon, and that just catapults us right into 2025. All right, got a couple decks. Ooh, I like how you did that there, Christine. She says 1 with clarification from 2. And hello, Ty. Got 1 for the new, 1 for the original. Let's see. All right, yeah, I think I like that actually. Let's do the original with clarification from the new. Right? Because even though full moons are primarily about releasing, and we are doing a lot of releasing with this full moon, we're also in that 1221 gateway, and we're also moving into this energy of, sorry, I had my chart here and it disappeared. My computer, If I could take like a short tech class with somebody to just teach me some of the stuff, like it's like a lot of basic stuff. I feel kind of like somebody's like 85-year-old grandmother sometimes, where it's just like they don't understand how to work a cell phone or like do these simple things. It's just absolutely ridiculous, but it is what it is. Oh yeah. So it's about releasing releasing all of that old energy. But there's also this powerful energy of creation that comes with this portal and comes with this literal, like we said, this is when the most powerful points where the earth is dilating. She's in this process of expanding to allow for that sixth dimension to be birthed out from her. Right? So it's big stuff. There's a lot of creational energy here as well. One for each new moon. Clear. Hello, Celeste. So also let me know, you guys, are you enjoying me doing the zodiac tarot readings? Or is that something that you guys are into, that you're enjoying me doing? All right, let's get some energy on this full moon and in through this 12. So really energy for December, we'll say. Energy is or general messages for this entire gateway of energy that we're talking about right now. What do you want us to know, Spirit? All right. Full moon in Aquarius. So we got that Aquarian energy coming out. And of course, we have Pluto in Aquarius right now, fresh into Aquarius. No more retrogrades back into Capricorn, only looking forward. I mean, yes, technically there will still be plenty of retrogrades in the sign of Aquarius, but really firmly stationed in that Aquarian energy, calling in that energy. We have that callback. And that's the thing that's really cool too about that second square, exact square of those three opening squares between Saturn and Jupiter. Because remember, in 2020, when they met at 0 degrees of Aquarius, they actually met first in the very end of, now I'm Capricorn. And then they moved into Aquarius. So it was like the old into the new, right? They did a little dance there. And then they met at that 0 degree point of Aquarius. And that was a big marker for the new earth and the birthing of the age of Aquarius. And so those squares and that relationship, that dance that they're doing, and this is a 20-year dance that they do before they come into conjunction again. This is really all about that new earth timeline and checking in on those energies. So it's perfect that that's happening right after the 12-21 gateway, still within those energies, since that's what that energy is all about too. I just love the way all of this lines up here. You like the Zodiac Tarot, Ty? All right, yes. And I apologize. I'm cranking them out as best I can. I've got so much going on right now trying to find the support that I need to be able to have the time that I need to get to do the things that I'm doing. There's a lot of pieces up in the air right now. And I know that they're all going to settle in the perfect timing. I'm just waiting for exactly when that timing is. And we are going to be doing I'm thinking Wednesdays for a regular live stream. So let me know what you guys think about that. I was originally thinking Mondays, but I know that I almost always have childcare on Wednesdays. So I'm thinking that would be a good day for us to do, because I want to get a consistent day going here for everyone, where everyone knows the live stream's happening. And yeah, I'll continue to do those. I love doing those, honestly. Like, it takes a lot. And I love doing all the research, and I love everything that I continue to learn as I do all the more complex astrology videos. But the tarot readings, they're simple, they're easy, they're beautiful, and we always get the information that we need. So I really do enjoy doing those. And I like doing it for the different signs. I do. I also love doing the pick-a-piles. I know you guys really love those too. Yeah, Annika says Wednesdays are good for lives. Then we got the full moon, surrender to the divine, right? This is exactly what we were talking about here. So with this full moon in Aquarius energy, the show the world the real you too. It's like, it's not just surrendering to the divine as something without or something outside of ourselves. It's surrendering to the divine within and understanding that the divine within is like your uniqueness, the way that you stand out simply by being who you are. That is the divine within you, right? Your true authentic beauty, your quirks, what you might consider your flaws, that is the divine. That is your divine, your expression of the divine, right? All the masks that we put on, all the ways that we try to fit into society, to fit into a certain role, right? That's not the divine within us. That's the wounding within us. That's the conditioning within us. It's when we release that and we really truly embrace who we are, and we really radically allow ourselves to fall in love with that, and we express that love outwardly, that love for ourselves, that is the divine within us. So you're beautiful, unique, the things about you that you maybe feel the most embarrassed about, right? The little things, those are the things that make you the most beautiful. And that is where the divine really shines. The divine within you really shines. So bringing that out, surrendering to that. No longer trying to be anybody else except exactly who you are. That's what I'm feeling from this energy here. Yeah, I know. I think a lot of people do. They never know when I'm going to be on. It's very spur of the moment. I never know when I'm going to be on either. So I think it'll be really good to have that consistent time that we know that we're all going to meet and connect together every week. We have, what do you need to release? The waning moon. So this is honestly like, this is just repeating the conversation that we just had, which is perfect because it's great confirmation of these energies, right? What do you need to release? What do you need to surrender to the divine? And you can ask if you feel like you don't know. But just be aware that when you ask, you're going to be shown, and the ways that you are shown may not be comfortable. But that discomfort is necessary in order to grow, right? I love you, Annika. I love you all. Okay. I feel like all of us are being shown that in one way or another, what we need to release. And something beautiful that came through in the Patreon live call that we did last night. And if anyone wants to join that, the information for that is in the description box below. We meet bi-weekly. We do live Zoom calls. We do typically some sort of group meditation, energy activation, and then we just kind of talk and see where the energy is flowing. A lot of times the conversation leads us to whatever the meditation is supposed to be for that night. And so when we were talking about that, it was, what came through was just this beautiful energy of like, we don't even, within this energy, within this full moon and this portal, this gateway that we're in right now, we don't even need to know exactly what it is that we're releasing. We just have to be willing to surrender it. When I was doing the video for the full moon, what came through was actually a phrase that we used to use in 12-step recovery: honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. We used to call it the how of recovery. And that same energy applies here. If we have the honesty and the willingness and the open-mindedness to grow, to be willing to be shown what we can do within that process, and just that willingness to release, that willingness alone will allow this process to occur. And we don't even necessarily need to know what we're releasing, because a lot of it is density that doesn't even belong to us, right? What we need to be aware of will be shown to us. And what we don't need to know, we don't need to know. All right, so don't worry about it. It reminds me of, and a lot of times when I do energy sessions with people, like I know people really like to know, so I'll tell them so a lot of the things that are coming through, a lot of the things that I picked up on, that I'm noticing. But my first spiritual mentor, Glenn Jones, he used to, when he would do energy work on me, and he would like clear out my chakras and do different things, do Bell Vespita healings for me, different things. I would ask him what he found or what he saw, and he would never tell me. He would always say, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's gone now. We cleared it. You don't need to know. You need to pull that energy back in. And it was the same thing when I did theta healing. And I don't practice that particular modality anymore. There are things that I gleaned from it, but there's also a lot of dark energy that's attached to it that I found out when I received my my quantum healing trainings and all of that. So I don't specifically practice that anymore, but I do practice elements of it. Some of the things that I learned from that, because there was some really interesting tools and techniques. But one thing that was interesting about that was we never recorded the sessions either, because it was like when we're going through those beliefs and we're digging up that energy and then we're letting it go, like we don't want to call it back in. We've already worked through it and we've released it. So now it's time to move forward. So it's kind of that same sort of energy here. It's like, you don't need to know everything. You'll become aware of what you're meant to be aware of. The rest of it, you can just set that intention to release and let go. Yeah. Then we have full moon in Leo. Don't let pride get in your way. This is that ego energy that we're talking about, that dissolved ego, that spiritual ego that we were discussing. Let me get some more on this Leo energy. And we are going to pull from the other Moonology deck, but I'm feeling, actually, I want to clarify this with some Zodiac of the 108 cards. Let's tell me some more about this pride. Don't let pride get in our way here. So one thing that's immediately coming into my mind where this energy is concerned is one of the things that really prevented me from moving forward for a long time was my judgment of certain emotions that I experienced. Like I kind of classified emotions into two different sets in my mind, the ones that were acceptable and the ones that made me weak. And the ones that made me weak, I like to pretend that I didn't experience. So this would be like jealousy. This would be like vulnerability. This would be like certain types of sadness. There were certain types of emotions that I just would not allow myself to acknowledge that I experienced because of what I thought that said about me. And that wasn't even necessarily, it wasn't even a pride or ego thing where like necessarily other people even knew, because of course I never told them about it because I was suppressing that they even existed within me. It was like my own internal ego and upholding this certain image, not just that I would project to other people, but that I projected to myself of myself. And the need to begin like stripping that away so that I could get more honest with myself about what I truly felt. You know, that it's okay to not feel good enough. It doesn't mean that I'm not good enough, right? It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel hurt and disappointment. Those were other emotions that were in the no column. You know what I mean? And so it was like sifting through that and working through that and allowing it to be okay to feel however I felt. Clear. Knowing at the same time that feelings aren't facts. And what we mean by feelings aren't facts is like, our feelings a lot of times are a reaction to an internal wound that we don't even realize we're carrying. But until we can acknowledge those feelings for what they are, it's going to be really difficult to get to the wound, if that makes any sense. Oh, thank you, Plune. I love you so much. Yeah. Yeah, it's taken me a long time, and this is part of my journey as a Cancer rising, to really get to that point of like understanding that there is strength in vulnerability. And just because I feel weak in a moment doesn't mean that I am weak, right? What does that even mean, right? To be weak. We all have a strength that is directly proportional to the battles we've had to fight. I remember people used to compliment me all the time on being strong, right? And I was like, sometimes I wish that I wasn't, because that just means I've been through some shit. You know what I mean? I've been through a lot of shit, and we all have, right? That is what makes us, that is what creates that strength, is the resilience that comes through the overcoming of the obstacles that have been placed upon our path. But they're all placed there for our growth, right? Hello, Psyduck. Yeah, exactly, Christine. Exactly. All right, let's clarify this. Anything else we want to know about don't let pride get in the way besides what just came through there? And this Leo energy, and this is also Mars and Leo right here, you guys. This is the first half of Mars retrograde that we're in right now. And check out that video if anybody who's finding this live stream hasn't seen that video yet. All right, now we have the water carrier and the roadblock coming through. And this is that energy. This is that Neptunian energy right there. That soft, nurturing, watery energy. Generosity, compassion, balance. That's very Aquarian too. Oh, it is an Aquarius card too. This is actually so similar to the water bearer, right? And then we have the roadblock. All right. So this is what I'm feeling from this is this energy of focusing on generosity of spirit. It's almost like, okay, this isn't saying like, don't continue pursuing the things that matter to you. It's not saying that at all. But what it is saying is if there is a roadblock, if there is a stumbling block right now, if the universe is pressing the pause button, and we know the universe is pressing the pause button when we're trying to move forward, but nothing is happening, nothing is working, right? I just talked about some experience of this in my own life right now, earlier in this video. That's the universe pressing the pause button. So we can try to force our way through, which is where this pride, this ego energy comes in. Or we can instead turn to what we can control. And we can perhaps take care of other people. And this doesn't mean like neglect the self in favor of others, but like see, where can we be more nurturing? Where can we express more generosity within our own life? Where is it that we are needed? That we can show up for another human being. For some of us, this is kind of like where our spirit's asking us to put our focus for the time being, and finding balance within ourselves as well. And you'll know which end you fall on. If you're somebody who tends to always take care of other people and you don't take care of yourself, the balance is actually taking better care of yourself. For some people, it's just the energy of generosity and the energy of giving is like if the universe is pushing the pause button for you right now, which means there's more integrating that needs to be done. There's more healing that needs to be done. There's things that are falling into place that are not quite where they need to be yet in order for you to move forward. Which doesn't mean you're stuck. It just means you're in an energy of continuing to heal. Maybe helping another person takes that focus off of you and makes it easier to sort of wait it out, to be patient, to find that patience, right? If that makes any sense. And so it like helping another person, helping somebody less fortunate than us reminds us of how fortunate we are too. Like this was especially like in my early recovery. That was huge for me, that energy of service, that energy of giving back. Whatever I had, and I didn't have a whole lot in the material realm at that time. You know, I didn't have a job. I didn't have any type of financial support. You know what I mean? Like I was scraping pennies together for tobacco because and this stream might get flagged for me saying that. That's YouTube's getting crazy, you guys, but we'll see what happens. I was scraping pennies together for that. You know what I mean? I was hustling in all the ways that I could just to like feed myself. You know what I mean? Material realm. And I didn't have a whole lot of recovery, a lot of experience staying clean either, but I had those days that I had. And I had that time to spend talking to another addict. You know, I had that time to show up and make that horrible coffee for the meetings. If anyone has never been to 12-step, I'll tell you one of the things 12-step is famous for is horrible coffee that everybody drinks way too much of. You know what I mean? So it's like, but that energy, like that energy of giving back really, it was healing. And it gave me that sense of purpose. So this is specifically too for anybody who feels like they're lacking direction, they're lacking purpose in their life right now. Find a way that you can give back. Find a way that you can nurture yourself and a way that you can nurture others. That feels fulfilling to you, that makes you feel good, that makes you feel full. If it's making you feel empty, then that means you're giving too much. That means there's a lack of balance there. And you need to practice receiving and giving to yourself. All right. And for some of us too, it's like what we need to get past here in order to get to whatever the next phase of our journey is it's our own ego. That's what the roadblock is. Our ego is the roadblock. So it's like focus on what you're giving to others. And this was great advice that I've also received. Any courses that I've taken, anyone that I learned from when it comes to YouTube, when it comes to social media, building a business, whatever you're doing, I always gravitate toward spiritually inclined people, spiritually conscious people. And one of the main things that they always stress is it's not about, like, what it's really about is what you're giving, what you're offering. Make that the focus, the service that you are providing, the healing that you're providing, the guidance, that whatever it is, the inspiration, like helping people. That's the focus. That's where you put your energy. It's not about anything else. And when you focus your energy there, everything else flourishes from there. Because a lot of times we get caught up, I'll use this as an analogy because this is what I do, right? Like with YouTube and social media and all of this, it's like people get caught up with the views and the follows and the this and the that. And they forget about what the purpose is, what the point is. The point is this kind of connection that we're having right now. The point is giving back. The point is being a light in the darkness for somebody else. So for some of us, it's like we need to reroute ourselves and remember what the focus is. Remember what the point is. Remember why you're doing what you're doing. Remember why it is that you want what you want. And for some people, it's that perfectionism too. That's where the ego is showing up. Whoa, these cards are going everywhere right now. I have this, I rearranged my office. I've really been in this space of, and I rearranged my bathroom too. I'm getting ready to keep going. I'm doing it in little sections. So my partner calls me a hoarder. I'm not really a hoarder, but I definitely do keep around like certain things that I think I might need at some point. And so eventually there does end up being a bit of clutter. So I've been doing a lot of decluttering and a lot of reorganizing, wanting like a fresh space, moving into this fresh new energy, this fresh new timeline, right? They say like messy bed, messy head. That's another analogy from like recovery. But it really does make sense, right? Like we can see our outer world as a reflection of our inner world. So when that comes to the clutter or the crap around the house and stuff like that, it's that same kind of an energy. So I've been doing a clearing. Maybe some other people watching this, Spirit's calling you to clear your energy by clearing your space, by decluttering your space. And that will also declutter your mind and declutter your energy. And why was I talking about that? I don't know. But somebody else may be feeling called to do that as well. Oh, I was going to reference this. I have this cloth now over my desktop because it's really not an attractive desktop. And I thought that I was just going to leave it because like you can't really see it in the videos anyway, especially when I do like I'm not doing portrait mode like this. I'm doing like the landscape mode when I film the videos. You can't see the desk. But I just it didn't have the right aesthetic. I wasn't liking it, but it's really kind of catching and making it difficult to shuffle the cards. So I'm doing my best here. I still haven't found the perfect sort of piece for the desk here. I wonder, you guys, does anyone know, do they make things that you could just attach right to your desk, almost like a covering or something? They must, like a fitted sheet for your for your desk space or something. Third time today I was guided to declutter. Yeah, there you go. 3 times, I always say. And my mentor, Glenn, that I mentioned before, he always said too, if you hear something 3 times, then you really know it's a message from Spirit, right? Oh yeah, tuning fork sessions are amazing. Yeah. Actually, my mentor, Glenn, his partner, Heidi, she does amazing tuning fork sessions. I have a tuning fork here, actually. I have I think it's a 428 hertz that I have. What just fell here? Cabin. This is about disengaging, going within, separation. And I remember I had said to some people too that some people might feel the need to do like a social media detox around this time as well. I'm definitely being called. This is something that I haven't fully followed through with yet, that I am being called to do too, which is like just a general phone detox. All the random time just like scrolling through the phone or playing games on the phone or doing like these things are so addictive. They're designed to be that way. You know, like it's all fine and good when I'm doing something productive with it like this, but not everything that I do is productive on my phone. I think probably some other people can relate. So like, where are we needing that detox? This hat is getting like really hot right now, so we're going to get rid of that for the moment. To say, right? We do need to invent that, Celeste. Yeah. I mean, vibration and frequency is so powerful. Wow, that looks really weird to me after like having the hat on. It feels like my head is naked now. Yeah, what is it? Vibration and frequency is everything. It's so powerful. And where we're being bombarded with all of these negative frequencies and these frequencies that upset and disturb our nervous systems, that's another reason to put the phone away at periods during the day, right? Because the phone is transmitting that energy. You can definitely shield your phone. It's always a good idea, but spending some time away from it and spending some time around frequencies that are healing. That's one of the reasons nature is so healing too, is because nature has its own frequency, right? My singing bowls, I've been getting into those again as well. Maybe we'll close with a little singing bowl today. All right. Any other clarification before we move on to the second Moonology deck here? All right, we have the Master coming out. Discipline, focus, learning a skill, having a commanding presence. So this is like Emperor energy here. So this is what some people may be guided to do as well. What is coming into focus? Where is it that you're being required at this time to develop more discipline towards something that has meaning to you? Whether this is a spiritual hygiene routine, as we like to call it, whether it's some other type of morning routine, evening routine, whether it's a certain area like health. You know, one of the things that I have been meaning to do for quite some time, that I'm going to say it on here, so maybe I get more disciplined with it, is working out more regularly, getting my body moving more. I've had a pretty sedentary lifestyle, really, honestly, since 2020. When I started working more for myself, and a lot of my work includes sitting, not doing a lot. You know, I do on the weekends, I do work where I'm more active. But other than that, it's a lot of sitting around, being at home with the kid. You know what I mean? At least in 2020, I was hiking and I was doing stuff like that. Now I don't get out to do as much of that. So really getting the body moving, that's been an area, as well as my spiritual routine, that I've been working to become more disciplined in. And then, of course, you know, like this channel and the consistency there as well. Yeah, we'll definitely do the singing bowl at the end. Ty says working on checking into his body more. Nice. Yeah, let me know. Throw it. And hi, Dee, I see you in there as well. Let me know. Throw it down in the chat. Whatever it is that where you're feeling called to focus more of your energy and create more of that structure, that supportive, that healthy, supportive routine and discipline. What is one thing that each of us can commit to, that we are going to do more consistently? One little thing, could be one little thing a day that makes you feel good, that supports you in some way. For me, meditating has been the number one thing. That's something there's so many places where I'm working on creating more discipline now. Meditating is my big one. So that's the one that I'm choosing as the main focus. Oh, thank you, Rick. I'm so happy to have you here. Thank you. So let me know in the chat. And if you want to think about it, let me know in the comments after the live stream's over. And let's set that intention. And then to check in with each other and see where we're at with that. Meditation, eating healthier, Qigong, and fixing the sleep cycle. There we go. Yeah. Eating healthier, that's something I've been working on more too. That's like honestly one of the biggest challenges for me is healthy eating. Yeah. All right. Oh, we're going to do the Moonology deck. That's right. I love that we had curtain call on the bottom of the deck though. So this is the endings. This is that old timeline ending, the completion of that. And this is that energy of suspension that we're feeling right now, as we're kind of floating in that void, and we're meant to be right now. So it's about embracing that void. This is so weird. So on this card, it has all these just general keywords. And then at the very bottom, I don't know if you guys can read that, it says, you are watching a movie. That feels kind of profound right now. Because in a sense we are, right? We're not just watching a movie though, we are starring in a movie. And remember, everyone is the star of their own movie. No matter how much we want to, no matter how much I am going to use the word try here, because it is applicable in this scenario. No matter how much we try and we consciously strive to be aware of other people within our story, to be aware of their feelings, to be conscious of all of that, at the end of the day, we are the star of our own movies and we feel it. You know, that is the ego, but that is what the human experience is. That's what we came here to experience. So this is like, interesting, like going on with this analogy right now. I feel like as we're switching timelines here, it's almost like we're switching, some of us are switching genres. Like what genre is your movie? What genre do you want it to be? Do you want it to be a mix of genres? Right? We are writing the script. So this is the thing. We can flip the script anytime we want if we don't like it, because we wrote it. We're still writing it. We're consciously writing it every day. Every day that we get up, we're writing it with our energy. We're writing it with our karma. So as we clear our karma, we start to change the script, right? It's only pre-scripted in the sense that our karma is essentially scripting it. We are consciously scripting it, but unconsciously our karma is. So as we clear that, as we release that, the script naturally begins to rewrite itself. And I'm going to be offering some, I mean, there's powerful ways, some of the things that I already do to assist with clearing karma, right? Like the aura sessions that I do. Those are really powerful for that, the hypnosis sessions. But I'm learning a new method now, working with the Akashic records to clear karma. So as soon as that's all fleshed out, I look forward to being able to offer that. But it's like every time we surrender, we're clearing the karma. Anytime we can view a situation like we are watching a movie, meaning that we no longer have the emotional investment in it. And I mean, if a movie's well enough written, we're going to feel some emotional investment. That's what makes it a good movie, right? It pulls you in, the characters pull you in, the plot like pulls you in. However, it's the sort of going with this analogy here in this way. It's like when we can view it like we're watching a movie, when we are no longer pulled or triggered energetically, when we think about a situation, when we think about a person, that's not how we know we've cleared the karma. And then when we're no longer living that cycle anymore. So it's all about surrendering our attachment, taking responsibility. That's honestly the biggest piece of clearing karma is taking responsibility, regardless of what the situation is, taking responsibility for our part. And sometimes like our part may not be clearly visible in one scenario. We may need to like see multiple scenarios. And this is the stuff that can eventually come to us if we sit and meditate every day. Spirit's saying simply with the intention of becoming aware of the karma that needs to be cleared, becoming aware of where it is that we need to take responsibility, what it is that we need to understand in order to release this cycle, this energy. Eventually, if we just sit there and we just set that intention before we start, and then we meditate and we don't think about anything and we just sit there and we breathe, eventually it will become clear to us. Our higher self will make it clear. So it can be as simple as that. Yep. You're welcome, Christine. Thank you. Clear. Thank you for being here, being open and willing to receive that message. All right, let's get some final energy here with the Moonology manifestation cards. All right. We have the full moon in Aries. Cool your emotions, and the new moon in Aries. Go for it. Interesting. Full moon, new moon. And we talked about how we're having the full moon, and then we have that black moon, that second new moon of this month on the 30th, 31st here. So this is saying there's somewhere where we need to take action. But before we do, we need to make sure that we're not taking action from a place of emotion. We need to calm our emotions, to clear our heads, and then take action. So to act instead of reacting. So this goes right in line with what we were just talking about, right? Of releasing the karma, how we know that we haven't when we have that emotional attachment to a situation, that emotional energy that gets brought up within us. Yeah, there is. Yeah, they just came out with this other one, I don't know, a few years ago, I think. Yeah. So take the action when you are at a place, a more neutral place emotionally. Yeah, double Aries cards. Yeah, and D, I am so sorry. And all my other Aries out there. I could have sworn, and I know I have like a couple specific Aries readings that I know I've done over the past few years that I could not find in there. So I don't think I was finding all of them in my playlist, but I was going through and creating playlists for all the different zodiac signs that have all the readings I've done for that sign over the years. I also threw in some of the, like, for instance, if we're talking Aries, like the Aries season 2023, different things like that, just in case people want to go through there. And I'm going to keep adding to them as I keep putting out more readings for the zodiac signs. And there were only like 6 videos that came up for Aries. So I was like, oh my God, like everyone else had like 13 to 16 videos. I was like, damn, I owe Aries some videos here. Yeah. But yeah, a lot of that Aries energy. And that Aries energy is important right now. We got that North Node finishing up its stint in Aries. We got Neptune getting ready to move into Aries. Like Aries is lit right now. And we have the first quarter moon Sagittarius. Believe in your good luck. Trust all will be well. New moon in Virgo. And find a balance. Full moon in Libra. So that's our guidance right now, you all. Have that faith. Have that belief. My universe is always supporting me. Right? Everything always works out for me. The divine has my back. That energy. That's the energy we're being asked to cultivate when it comes to our dreams, when it comes to the way that we perceive our relationship with the world, with the universe. Even if things don't seem clear right now, even if there seems to be no solution at hand, trust that all will be well. Not only that all will be well, that all is well right now. And that energy of finding balance, coming into balance. This actually was the last card on the bottom of the deck here, was actually the new moon in Libra, which in this card is about a new romantic cycle beginning, which may be true for some people as well. You may be clearing a cycle that either is directly connected to love and relationships, or that influences your love and relationships. There may be a karmic cycle around that clearing out for some people, I'm feeling. But this is also just that need to find balance within ourselves right now. Just that restating, Spirit wanted that to be the final message here, just to really bring that back home in case any of us missed it. Find that balance. If you are feeling irritable, if you are feeling frustrated, if you are feeling anxious, stressed out, something is out of balance in your reality. So it's those daily habits and routines. How can we cultivate? How can we call in more balance? Oh, you love the Scorpio video? Nice. Yeah, I was like, there was a lot of interesting love messages coming through, but I was like, whatever. I mean, this is what somebody needs to hear. But it's also like there's more nuance. Do you know what I mean? Even when that seems to be the theme, there's still a lot of stuff within that that can be applied to all situations too. God, please bring on the romance. Be careful what you wish for. But I do feel 2025 feels like a year that is very, very, there's a lot of fertile energy for that. I don't know why it just feels that way as I'm saying it. And then we have see the bigger picture on the bottom of the deck here too. So if life is feeling like too much right now, it's time to zoom out. It's time to see it from that bigger, that higher perspective. I mean, I think that's clear. Pretty much a key practice for everybody on this channel, right? And then dissolving fears and releasing the past. Leave the past behind. The past is the past for a reason. Clear. True. Past, present, future, they don't really exist, but in this dimension they do, right? Leave what's in the rear view in the rear view. Although for some people, I feel like as we're moving through this energy, there's going to be a need to kind of revisit as far as to learn from the past, right? We are in retrograde season in order to understand the adjustments that need to be made in the future and in order to clear the past so that you can move forward into the future. So there is that aspect where the past is a helpful tool to help us understand our present so that we can create a different future. Clear. I was thinking that too, Annika. I was thinking that when I was just talking about that reading. Clear. I feel like that was their energy coming through. I think that's why we both thought of them just then. All right, you all. I love you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you for being with me, journeying with me. I'm really impressed with this too. I didn't want to say anything until the end of the live stream, but I went through and set some really intentional, sacred containers for this live stream. And it's been a really great live stream. We haven't had any ridiculous, I mean, we've also had Annika there, so she's probably filtered out a few things. That is, she's doing a great job of that because I haven't seen a single bot or anything. It's been great. So this has been beautiful. Yeah. So grateful for you too, Celeste. So it's that intention, right? Going with that intention, setting those intention, setting those parameters for everything that we do. Our intention is our most powerful tool. Got a lot of Glenisms. That's what I call them, these phrases and these things that my mentor Glenn taught me. I call them Glenisms coming through today. So I love that. Feeling his energy too. If you were watching this, Glenn or Heidi, or if you do watch this replay, I love you both so much. I love you all so much. I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful that we were able to connect. So we're gonna do Wednesdays, and the time I'm feeling. I really want to do 1:44. I think that would be a great time to start. That's gonna be like the goal, I think, because I like the energy of that. 1:44 on Wednesdays. What's Wednesday? What planet is Wednesday connected to? Does anybody know? Because they're all connected to a planet, right? I'm gonna look that up right now. Mercury. It's a Mercury day. So that's perfect for communication, for connecting together. Yeah, I know, Ty. I put one of my videos to be released at 1:44. I didn't know if anybody ever noticed that. I usually do. I either put them out at 11:11, 12:12, 1:11, 2:22, or 1:44. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so let's do that. Let's do that. 1:44 on Wednesdays. I won't do, I got really, I tried once to do the thing where you set the live stream up beforehand, right? So then it shows so that people can see, like, and they can be waiting, and you know what I mean? But then, like, when I tried to start it, this is once again my lack of tech prowess. It wouldn't let me start the live stream, and I had to start a brand new one. I think it's still in a queue. It was like a Lionsgate live stream from like 2 or 3 years ago. I think it's still in queue there, like waiting to be started. I just could not, it would not let me start stream, and it would not do it. So I haven't tried it again since then. Maybe I will try it again and see what it does. And then if it doesn't work, I'll just start a new live stream at that time. Clear. It could have been a one-time thing, right? Oh, we got one more card popping out here while I was shuffling. Inventor. Pay attention to those inspired ideas. All right? It's okay to fail. Remember, these are the final words, and this quote popped into my mind earlier, but I didn't say it, so I am going to say it now to close this live stream. I've said it before. The master has failed more times than the beginner has even tried. So remember that if you're embarking on any new creation, if you're starting something new, you're not going to be perfect at it right away. There is no such thing as perfection, but there is such a thing as mastery, and mastery takes time. It takes mistakes. It takes learning from those mistakes. It takes trying things multiple times in multiple ways, right? Trial and error. This whole experience is all trial and error. And I hear the little one, so I think